I've been thinking a lot about food lately, and I've been feeling a resurgence in my love for cooking and the act of mindful eating. I think that cooking can often come in phases, and sometimes more than others we feel more compelled to cook with care and attentiveness. Time and energy are also huge factors when it comes to cooking yourself wholesome meals. It's often the lack of these two things, time and energy, that causes people to turn to fast food and ways of eating that minimize presence and attention. Taking more agency over what and when I eat, rather than feeling like my diet is being externally dictated, allows me to pay closer attention to what foods make me feel whole and uplifted and what foods make me feel depleted and low. I've also been trying to put more effort into shopping locally and being more aware of where I choose to put my money when it comes to food, rather than giving all of my weekly grocery allowance to a big chain supermarket and purchasing more quantity but sacrificing on the quality. I've been trying to shop at my local grocers, farmers markets and zero waste stores more often, and small things like this have also been introducing more simple humanity into my life. In this fast-paced world that we often get swept up in, it can be easy for cooking and eating to become a chore and a slight inconvenience to our busy lives. But I think that by bringing our attention closer to our plates, we can introduce a deeper sense of pleasure, mindfulness, and gratitude into our lives. I'm just going to make a cup of tea now before I sit down and do some editing at my computer. I feel like when I sit down to do work, I love having just like something to snack on, and I don't know, I feel like it is kind of just like something to keep me occupied. So I like to have like some fruit and some tea while I sit down and do work at my computer, just so I have like something to like do with my hands. So I'm going to make a peppermint and lemon balm tea. I've been loving buying my teas just loose leaf from shops that do like refill and like where you can buy herbs and dry things in bulk. And I feel like it's just such a nice way to buy tea because A, it's a lot cheaper than buying it in a bag, and B, you can kind of like make your own blends. And I feel like it's just like a fun thing to kind of get into and like learn about different types of teas and like different properties of them. And I just love making a tea in my little French press. I feel like when I get in the zone doing something on my computer, I can often kind of just forget to eat like a good proper meal. And so I told myself that when I finished editing, I would come down and make myself a nice lunch. So I've got this baguette that I bought yesterday from the farmer's market that needs to be used up. So I'm going to cook down some cherry tomatoes, and I've got some spinach, some Parmesan cheese that I'll put on top. Maybe I'll add some capers in there, cook it in some garlic, add some salt and pepper. Just super simple. I've been really loving just super simple meals lately that just involve like a couple of ingredients and just center around like one sort of fresh ingredient. Like I think that this meal just came from me wanting to use up my baguette and having cherry tomatoes. I feel like my way of cooking lately has just been like buy fresh ingredients and have some legumes and some bread and figure out a way to put it all together on the spot, which has been really fun. Yum! The Parmesan cheese on top is really nice, and also the capers add a really nice touch. It's like a nice amount of saltiness. It is 7 o'clock, so it's dinner time, and I'm gonna make a chickpea stew with some sweet potato and spinach in like a coconutty broth with turmeric, ginger, like a nice warming cozy meal that's still healthy and nutritious. So let's do it. I feel like sometimes I just crave a meal like this, like vegetarian, very hearty, healthy, like warming with like turmeric and like lots of spices. So I've got sweet potato cut up, onion, ginger, chili, and then I've just got this big pot of chickpeas that I cooked today, and I just cooked them down for a few hours until they got softer. You could also use tinned beans or jarred beans as well. Also, these are the spices that I'm going to be using. I've got ground cumin, turmeric, and ras el hanout, which is a spice blend which has, let's see, coriander, paprika, turmeric, cinnamon, cumin, ginger, black pepper, white pepper, cayenne, salt, pimento, cardamom, nutmeg, cloves, and aniseed. Wow, this has really got everything in it. Wow. But I feel like it just adds a nice depth of flavor. Whilst that's cooking, I'm gonna make a compote to put on my porridge in the morning. This is something I've really been liking doing for the past couple of weeks. I've just been loving having oats in the morning, and it's so nice having something nice to put on top, like whether that's some berries or some apples or pear. So I'm gonna make a compote with these quince that I got yesterday from the farmer's market. They're such funny little things. They've got like all this fur on them. They're quite hard, but you can poach them, and I think they taste like sweet, slightly sour. So that could be fun. So I'm gonna peel and cut these and then poach them in a pot with water, sugar, cinnamon sticks, star anise, and cardamom. In they go into this big sugary, spicy pot of water. It's a bit of an experiment, to be honest, because I've never done this before, but let's see how they turn out. But these chickpeas are coming along so nicely. Everything's softening up. I'm gonna add some coconut milk now and then let it simmer some more. So I've got parsley, dill, and spinach that I'm gonna add into the chickpeas now, along with a squeeze of lemon and a pinch of salt. The parts of the parsley that have some of the stem attached, I'll add them into the pot so that they can cook down a little bit, and then the parts that are more just the leaf, I'll leave those to put as a garnish on top. And then it's pretty much done. I guess you could have this with rice or with like a flatbread even. However, I have a baguette that needs to be used up, so I'm gonna use up the rest of my baguette because I don't want to see it go stale tomorrow, so I think I might as well just use it now. I added a spoon of yogurt on top. I feel like it's gonna make it nice and creamy when I like stir it in. My quince are coming along nicely, to be honest. I just tasted one out of the pot and it's very like quite tart, like quite sour, but also has a little bit of sweetness from the sugar that I put in the water that they've been poaching in. I feel like they'll be nice, like sliced up on top of porridge in the morning. The delayed gratification of like cooking a nice meal and then coming to sit down and being able to be fully present and just like enjoy it is so nice. I feel like when I make food for myself, I have so much gratitude and like thanks and like appreciation, I think, for just like the food, and because I know that I've cooked it. It's like such a simple thing, but it just, every time I like make myself a nice meal and sit down and eat, I have the same thought and I'm just like, wow, I really did that. Although one thing I will say about food though is like, it is so much better shared, like so much better shared. Like sitting alone and eating is nice and peaceful, but it's so nice when you can like share the food with somebody and both share that like thanks and gratitude for it and just like talk. And I just love sharing meals. Wow, eating by myself is cute too. It is time for breakfast. I'm just gonna make some oats this morning. I soaked my oats the night before with some lemon juice because supposedly there is something called phytic acid in oats, and apparently that acid binds to your intestines or something and makes it harder for you to process nutrients and minerals. So that's why I soaked my oats the night before. Also, it's just so much quicker to cook them in the morning, and I feel like they end up heaps more creamy when I soak them the night before. And now I'm just gonna cook them in some oat milk with some cardamom, cinnamon, and nutmeg, and some brown sugar. I'm just going to slice up the poached quince and pear and then arrange it on top. And then I'm also going to put some walnuts on top and some hemp seeds and pumpkin seeds. I love just putting something crunchy on top of my porridge. I feel like porridge alone can be kind of bland and just like not a great textural experience. But with something crunchy and some fruit on top, I feel like it just becomes like a really, really nice meal. And honestly, this porridge will keep me full until like well into the afternoon. Creamy, soft oats. I love it when they're like a tiny bit salty as well from the salt, but also sweet. And now let's try the quince. Okay. Interesting. It's quite sour, but like I like sour in a good way. It's like a cross between a pear, but it has more texture than a pear. Like it's quite gritty. It's like a cross between a pear and a green apple, I would say, with like its own kind of characteristic. I'm into it. I'm just gonna have leftovers from dinner last night for lunch today. That's one thing I love about making like a curry or a stew or something, is always having leftovers the next day, especially if you're only cooking for 1 or 2 people. I feel like it's pretty easy to have leftovers the next day, which always makes for a good lunch, nice and quick and easy. I'm just gonna have it with a slice of sourdough on the side as well. I've had my lunch and I'm still hungry, so I'm gonna make another lunch. I'm gonna have maybe a piece of toast with some avocado on top, maybe some tomatoes, and I think I'll fry an egg as well, just to make me more full. A beef ragu and some pasta. I'm really craving like a nice hearty meal, and I think I also feel like some meat at the moment. Just like a nice bowl of pasta with parmesan cheese and a glass of wine. That is exactly what I feel like right now. I love just like the mindless chopping and prepping sometimes. I feel like it's more mindful than mindless if you just like let yourself really just like be present and just cut the vegetables. Like, I don't know, it's like such a mundane thing and sometimes feels like a kind of a chore, because I remember when I was a kid and my job in the kitchen, my mum would always call me down from upstairs and be like, Cameron, come and chop the onions, come and chop the garlic and the ginger and the chili. Like I just had to cut the shittest things. So I feel like sometimes it can feel kind of like a chore and kind of mundane. But I think it's one of those things that's a bit of a mindset shift. Like rather than feeling like you have to do something, thinking that you get to do it, you know? I think that cooking sometimes can become like quite a chore and like something that we dread. But instead of thinking like, oh my God, I have to cook myself food, it's like, oh my God, I get to cook myself dinner and I get to make myself a really nice, nourishing meal. Like how lucky am I? I always forget that cooking something like this takes time, and I started cooking at like 6:30. It's now, what is it, 8 p.m. I stopped and had a shower, but we're almost there, and I'm gonna be so thankful for this meal when it's ready. Whew. So excited for a bowl of pasta you don't even understand. Okay. Yum. I feel so helped just by eating this. Yes. That is it. That is what I needed. That is what I wanted. That is everything to me right now. I low-key feel like I'm sharing these meals with you, like just because I've got the camera on and I'm speaking to the camera. I feel like I'm eating with somebody. It's nice. See you for breakfast tomorrow. Breaking my streak of having oats for breakfast, and I'm gonna have eggs this morning. I've got some spinach and some kale that I need to use up in the fridge, so I'm gonna saute some kale and some spinach with some tomatoes and have that. I've also got these huge bunches of parsley and dill, so I'm gonna add some parsley into the pan with the spinach and the kale and the tomatoes, and then I'll just put some dill on top of it all. And I'm gonna have this with 2 fried eggs and a piece of toast with some butter. And that is breakfast. This is what happens when I don't have oats for breakfast. I get hungry an hour or two later and it's time for another snack. I'm just kind of trying to use everything that I have in the fridge at the moment because I'm going away next week, so I kind of need to use up everything that I have before I leave. And I've got this tub of yogurt, so I'm gonna have some yogurt this morning and have some of that poached quince on the top of it with some granola, and also have a piece of toast, I think, with some almond butter and a pear. I feel like that will be a nice little snack that will tide me over until lunchtime.